A mask may prevent the spread of the virus, but it doesn't stop hunger. Students have access to school lunches, but that still leaves the weekend when many of those students on free and reduced lunch may face empty cupboards. Communities with schools and Loaves and Fishes have partnered to provide a weekend food pack program, so hunger doesn't have to be a weekend companion. Each Friday, they will receive a special package that is sure to bring a smile to their faces. With all the ups and downs caused by the pandemic, students need to feel food secure to succeed in catching up on all that was lost during shutdowns. Will you help fund this program? Just write a check to PUCC or donate online under missions and write food packs on the memo line. Doing schoolwork at home is much easier on a full stomach.
Hello, and welcome to worship with Portage United Church of Christ. This is worship for the week of October 24th, 2021. And we want you to know that no matter who you are, no matter where you are on this planet or on life's journey, no matter what time of day you are joining us or what day of the week it is, we are delighted to have you with us, and you are welcome here at PUCC. We are continuing our series on entering the creative life with God this week, and this week we're going to consider the element of risk involved as we enter this creative life with God. So let us prepare to risk. And let us take a deep breath as we do so and prepare our hearts, our minds, our bodies, and our spirits for worship.
In the world of the driven, let us be drawn in. Let your love be a given, let us be drawn in. To imagine, to dream, to create, to redeem. For the sake of the living, let us be drawn in.
God's act of creating all that is, God's act of entering our lives in the person of Jesus, God's everyday act of creating new life, all these are acts of bringing that which is not into being, all acts of originality. To create is to assert ourselves in a way that is risky, that invites stepping into the unknown. Jesus told a story about people who did different things with the talents given to them. The one who took a risk and utilized those talents multiplied his gift in the world. What can you do to risk what God has given you to expand love and grace in the world?
Please pray with me. Risking God, you created something from nothing. Open us to move into the unknown future with confidence, so that we might live into your vision for this world you continue to create. Draw us into your possibilities. Give us the courage to act. Amen.
Living Spirit, holy fire, burning bright to light our way, blaze among us and inspire lives that praise you day by day. Open hearts affirm us all, many splendored one in you. We embrace the work, the call. You are making all things new.
The kingdom of heaven is like a man who was leaving on a long journey. He called his servants and handed his possessions over to them. To one he gave 5 talents, and to another he gave 2, and to another he gave 1. He gave to each servant according to that servant's ability, and then he left on his journey. After the man left, the servant who had 5 talents took them and went to work doing business with them. He gained 5 more. In the same way, the one who had 2 talents gained 2 more. But the servant who had received the 1 talent dug a hole in the ground and buried his master's money. Now after a long time, the master of those servants returned and settled accounts with them. The one who had received 5 talents came forward with 5 additional talents. He said, "Master, you gave me 5 talents. Look, I've gained 5 more." His master replied, "Excellent. You are a good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a little. I'll put you in charge of much. Come and celebrate with me." The second servant also came forward and said, "Master, you gave me 2 talents, and look, I've gained 2 more." His master replied, "Well done. You are a good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a little. I'll put you in charge of much. Come and celebrate with me." The servant given 1 talent said, "Master, I know you have high standards and hate careless ways, that you demand the best and make no allowances for error. I was afraid I might disappoint you, so I found a good hiding place and secured your money. Here it is, safe and sound, down to the last cent." The master was furious. That's a terrible way to live. It's criminal to live so cautiously like that. If you knew I was after the best, why did you do less than the least? The least you could have done would have been to invest the sum with bankers, where at least I would have gotten a little interest. Take the 1 talent and give it to the one who risked the most, and get rid of this play it safe, who won't take any risks. Throw him out into utter darkness. There's a whole lot to not like about this parable of the talents, as it's called. It doesn't have that warm, cuddly feeling that we get from the parable of the shepherd seeking out the lost sheep. It doesn't have that hopefulness of the prodigal son or that encouraging call to love all our neighbors that we get in the parable of the Good Samaritan. This one, it is full of all kinds of disturbing parts. First of all, it's the story of a master who controls the lives and the futures of enslaved people. From our 21st century perspective, that is not a helpful way to understand our relationship with God. Secondly, it uses money and power as metaphors for people's abilities and faithfulness and desired rewards. And then it wraps the whole thing up with Matthew's favorite image, weeping and gnashing of teeth. Well, I spared you that last part by mixing the translations a little bit, so what we heard was just all about utter darkness, which really isn't a whole lot better than weeping and gnashing of teeth. So just why did we have to listen to this parable that's really quite ugly and seems to extol the virtues of venture capitalism at the expense of the have-nots, and seems to advocate for risks that only serve to make the rich get richer while the poor end up cast out into utter darkness? Well, first of all, we have to remember that parables are not just simple analogies with precise comparisons. They are not simple morality tales that give us some basic rules by which we can live our lives. Parables are an ancient form of teaching meant to shock and startle us out of our usual assumptions and ways of thinking. And what shocks us about this parable as we listen to it today is not what shocked Jesus's original listeners. When we hear the word talent, we think of special gifts or abilities for playing music or for baking or for painting. But in Jesus's day, a talent was a form of money, and one talent was worth 30 pounds of gold. That's what one manual laborer would earn over the course of 20 years. So I'll let you go ahead and figure out the value of 5 talents and 2 talents. Hearing such extraordinary generosity of a master entrusting this wealth to his servants would have made Jesus's hearers laugh out loud. It would be as if I were to say to you today, Jeff Bezos was about to go on a journey to Mars, and before he did so, he gathered together the warehouse managers, and to one he gave $10 billion, and to another he gave $5 billion. Absurd, right? Laughable. It's this sheer absurdity of this extravagance that is our first hint that this parable is not a morality tale to warn us against being risk-averse with our money or lazy with our talents. This, my friends, is a story of abundance. It's a story of the incredible abundance that God pours out upon us. Now, don't get this confused with what we commonly call blessings, such as the blessing of good health or family or food on the table or a roof over our heads. This is not a story of blessings. It is a story of absurd amounts of opportunities and possibilities to advance Jesus's work and blessing in the world. In receiving this abundance of opportunities and possibilities, we are given chances. We are given a chance for our church full of people who on the outside might appear to be powerless and insignificant, but will now have a chance for real influence in the world. We are given a chance not to amass more for ourselves, but to be engaged in the well-being of others. We are given a chance to be witnesses to the splendor of God's justice springing to life around us. When we bury this abundance, figuring that there's no way we can effectively use it unless we've got new and more people in our church to help us, when we bury this abundance, we are refusing our calling. We are refusing our calling to further God's creative intentions for the world. This parable is so severe because the stakes are so very high. It is about our willingness to take the risks that are involved in aligning ourselves with God's priorities for the world. If we don't take this risk, we are indeed living in utter darkness. It reminds me of the way beloved poet Mary Oliver concluded one of her poems. So tell me, what will you do with your one wild and precious life? So tell me, what will we do with our one wild and precious life together? Will we bury the abundance that we have been given because we're afraid we might make a mistake with it or we might get people upset with us? Will we bury the abundance because we're just feeling really too old, too tired, too retired to use it? Or will we risk and seize the opportunity to live into our calling as God's commissioned artists? God took a great risk in entrusting us with such extravagant abundance. At the same time that we were entrusted with free will. That pretty much guarantees that we're gonna get it wrong sometimes. But we can trust God's trust in us. So I say, let's take a risk with this one wild and precious life of ours together. Let's live into this abundance that God has given us so that we can be that church with real influence in the world. So that we can be that church engaged for the betterment of other people's lives. And so that we can be that church that is a part of God's justice springing to life all around us.
We take a breath, breathing in the breath that is God's and resting in God's presence as we offer these petitions as our prayers to God. Draw us into the sounds and rhythms of those crying for justice and peace. Risk-taking God, draw us in. Draw us into relationship with all of creation, helping us to discern our role in caring for, nurturing, and sustaining this brilliant blue orb for the generations to come. Risk-taking God, draw us in. Draw us into the warmth of your embrace, for the burdens of the world which we carry and share together. Risk-taking God, draw us in. Draw us in to hear your still small voice clearly, the one that guides, strengthens, and prepares us for all that awaits. Risk-taking God, draw us in. And we continue in prayer with the words that Jesus taught us to pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you for being with us in worship this week. I hope that this service offered you some comfort, some meaning, and some challenge for your life in the days ahead. Please know that we would be delighted to have you come and join with us in person at worship if that's what you would feel comfortable doing. We gather here in person on Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Just remember to bring your mask. And also remember that we love to hear from you. So if you would like to go to our website and either make a donation to support our ministries or just reach out via email, please feel free to do so. So, my friends, may you see the unfolding of each day as an opportunity to be a co-creator with God. As a Jesus follower, may you feel his company alongside you, urging you and helping you to create more justice and kindness and mercy. And may you know the nudge of the creative spirit within, making belief of all you are and all you do. Amen.
When I can't take the first step, when all I'm holding is my breath, I pray that you are there.
When I can't seem to forget, when I can't see the morning light yet, I pray that you are there. I pray love is greater than fear.
Love is greater than